Now it's my time. Yeah, don't run too much. Let's wait, man.
He does it to everybody. Everybody he gets a hold of, he just ragdolls. Even like really elite wrestlers. Seeing him breaking Robert Whittaker's jaw just by squeezing him across his face. Got him down and mauled him. Mauled him until he broke his face.
Do you think it's different with Du Plessis?
He can wrestle. He's got very good jiu-jitsu. He hits hard, and he's a big, durable dude. But I don't know if he's going to be able to wrestle with that guy. Like, I don't know, man. Khamzat's skill is so high level, it makes me wonder. It appears that he's, in terms of like the grappling that he possesses, seems magnitudes greater than anybody else in his division.
With UFC 319's main event just under a month away, Khamzat Chimaev is intensifying the hype by sending fierce warnings toward Dricus Du Plessis. Confident in his abilities, Chimaev has boldly stated that he plans to finish DDP on August 16th, and he's not holding back, vowing to crush anyone who stands in his way. Meanwhile, former UFC champ Michael Bisping expressed his admiration for Du Plessis, saying he's always recognized his talent and never considered him underrated. Reflecting on the UFC 317 weigh-in panel, Bisping remembered how others may have overlooked Dricus, but he firmly believes Du Plessis is the complete package, a powerful athlete with knockout power, solid wrestling, and strong submission skills. Still, Bisping didn't ignore Chimaev's dominance either. He described Khamzat's fighting style as unstoppable, like a hot knife slicing through butter, emphasizing just how dangerous he is inside the octagon.
I'm a big fan of Du Plessis. It's crazy because when we did the UFC 317 weigh-in show, we had to pick most underrated fighters. And some of the other panel, I think a couple of them had Dricus Du Plessis as underrated. And I was like, I don't know if he's underrated, man. I think he's the real deal. He's a big, strong guy. He's knocking people out. He's wrestling them. He's submitting them. But if you look at Khamzat, right, we know he just goes through everyone like a hot knife through butter.
Michael Bisping gave credit to Dricus Du Plessis for his impressive track record, which features major wins over top-tier fighters like Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, and Robert Whittaker. However, Bisping pointed out that facing Khamzat Chimaev presents a whole new kind of challenge. Chimaev's wild, relentless fighting style and refusal to slow down make him unpredictable in the cage. Still, Bisping isn't convinced that Khamzat can bulldoze Du Plessis the same way he has with others, and he raised doubts about whether Khamzat can endure a full 5-round war if it comes down to it.
Dricus beat Strickland twice, Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker. Before that was Derek Brunson and Darren Till and Brad Tavares. It was definitely, I won't say a step up because Strickland was a champ and Israel was a long-time champ. But I do think Khamzat is a different kind of beast. The question is, can he go 5 rounds? I think he knows he can't expect to go out there and just get a hold of Dricus, ragdoll him to the floor and face crank him, smash his teeth in like he did to Robert Whittaker and walk away. But the fun thing about Khamzat is that he'll try and do that. I don't think he has the ability to pace himself because he's never had a need to.
Paul Felder also weighed in, calling this matchup the most difficult test Dricus Du Plessis has faced in his career so far. He pointed out that Khamzat Chimaev's ferocious pace and relentless pressure early in fights make him a serious threat to anyone across the octagon. While Du Plessis has already secured impressive victories over elite names like Robert Whittaker, Felder believes Chimaev's non-stop aggression sets this bout apart as Du Plessis' greatest challenge to date.
Do you think this is the toughest test of Dricus Du Plessis' career?
Yeah, I think so. I think just that first round type of crazy onslaught that he brings to the table and the pressure that he brings early in a fight is very, very difficult, where it might not be the highest caliber as far as pedigree and what we've seen from a fighter so far. I mean, you got Whitakers and people like that he's been able to beat and get through. But I absolutely think that this is going to be his biggest.
Paul Felder highlighted that the first 5 minutes of the fight against Khamzat Chimaev will likely be pure chaos for Dricus Du Plessis. He described Chimaev's explosive start, charging forward, looking to take control early, unleash heavy strikes, and hunt for a fast finish. Felder also mentioned that Du Plessis can sometimes come off as unorthodox or even a little wild, but he's repeatedly silenced critics with his performances. Despite the high risk Chimaev poses, Felder is leaning toward Du Plessis to pull off the victory.
Know that first 5 minutes is absolute chaos with somebody like Khamzat. He's going to be on him. He's going to try to take him down. He's going to try to take his back, and he throws big punches. And Dricus being a little bit wild and a little bit clumsy in there sometimes. I think this is his biggest test. But, dude, I'm done ever counting Dricus Du Plessis out of a fight. He has proven all of us wrong over and over again in these fights where we think he's going to, okay, this guy's going to kick his ass. So if I had to pick, I'm leaning Du Plessis.
Eddie Alvarez also shared his thoughts, admitting it's hard for him to pick against Khamzat Chimaev, whom he referred to as an absolute powerhouse. Still, he acknowledged that Dricus Du Plessis brings a unique, unconventional style to the cage, one that may not always be visually appealing but consistently delivers results. Alvarez praised Du Plessis for his outstanding cardio and relentless drive, noting that regardless of how the fight unfolds, Dricus always seems to find a way to come out on top, making him a fighter you can never truly count out.
I think it's hard to bet against Chimaev for me. The guy's a powerhouse, but I can't pick that. Yeah, Dricus is like this odd character for me. Like I never really, watching him aesthetically, it don't all look perfect. It's very like, it doesn't look, aesthetically it doesn't look good, but he gets the job done. His conditioning's crazy. He's one of the hardest workers in the entire sport, and he finds a way. He's one of them guys who find a way regardless of how it looks. So you can never count him out. But I think Chimaev, if it goes past round 2, Dricus.
How does Chimaev beat Dricus is a different verbiage for saying, I don't think Chimaev can beat Dricus, and I'm only sharing with you. That's new. You guys have always believed that Chimaev could beat Dricus. You've always believed that Chimaev could beat everybody. You believed as recently as Chimaev's last fight that nobody could touch him. And you're a very fickle group. And can he beat him? That's between those two. How does he beat him? He starts with plan A, which is to take him down and maul him. And if that doesn't work, which in the past it hasn't, he attempts to bludgeon him on his feet more than he gets bludgeoned. That's the answer to the question. That's how Chimaev would beat Dricus.
Sonnen also raised an interesting point, wondering whether Dricus Du Plessis could neutralize Khamzat Chimaev's dominant wrestling, or perhaps even take Chimaev down himself. He noted that Khamzat usually establishes control early in the fight, as seen in his bout against Whittaker. However, Sonnen believes Du Plessis won't be so easily overpowered, which adds another layer of intrigue and competitiveness to this matchup that many fans may be overlooking.
Is he good enough to defend the takedowns of Chimaev? Let's go further with it. Is he good enough to take Chimaev down? I've never seen Chimaev lose a stand-up fight. I want you to know how good Dricus is at a stand-up fight. Do you believe that Chimaev can tackle this man? Chimaev has gotten on top of everybody with no exception inside of 5 minutes. And you guys remember the Robert Whittaker fight. He came right across the ring, got him right down right away. Chimaev versus Dricus feels different. What a match. Dricus Du Plessis, world champion. It's not quite as obvious that he couldn't go with Alex Pierre. It's not quite as obvious as it felt. It's not quite as obvious that he can't go with Chimaev. Things feel very different.
Sonnen further emphasized how chaotic and unpredictable this fight is shaping up to be, making it clear that neither fighter will have an easy path to victory. He sees this clash as a prime example of the thrilling new chapter unfolding in the middleweight division, a bout that showcases the weight class's growing depth, rising danger, and evolving talent. For Sonnen, it's the perfect display of just how intense and competitive today's middleweight scene has become.
I mean, this isn't a simple fight where you go, well, go out and take him down. It's like, yeah, good luck. Go out and take him down. Yeah, it's true. And then you got to hold him there once you do it. Oh, and by the way, nobody else has taken down and held Dricus there.
Like this fight is starting to look different. The entire division is starting to look different. There's never been a time that 185 pounds has had such a spotlight on it. I'm watching this guy, Kyle Barrow, myself. I'm thinking this guy might quietly be the real assassin of that division, but that's not easy to say. I think Bo Nickel go all the way to the top. And I think that DeRinner is greatly underrated. And I don't think Sean Strickland is ready to move on just yet. Like, 185 is a really exciting proposition.
Meanwhile, Arman Tsarukyan has officially joined Khamzat Chimaev's training camp to assist in preparation for the upcoming clash with Dricus Du Plessis. Arman spoke about the intense nature of training with Chimaev, describing it as an experience that pushes fighters far beyond their physical and mental limits. To him, this camp isn't just about getting ready, it's a war zone where only the toughest endure, emerging sharper, stronger, and fully prepared to dismantle any opponent that steps into the cage.
How is it training with Khamzat? I mean, obviously there's so many stories about what that guy's capable of in the gym going back for about 10 years. What is it like for you to get in there and roll with him?
I mean, Khamzat, he's a tough guy, and he doesn't care if you're lighter than him, more than 25 pounds. He just go hard with everybody, and it's good for me. You know, I get a lot of like experience, and I feel like if I can wrestle with him, I can wrestle with anybody. You know.
I would think so, man. And he's probably weighing what when he comes in? You said 25 pounds. Is that about how much he weighs more than you when you guys go?
Like he's like 205, something like that.
Arman Tsarukyan voiced his full support for Khamzat Chimaev, saying he's eager to see him rise to the top and claim UFC gold. He noted that Khamzat is looking sharp, energized, and in top form throughout this training camp. Arman also mentioned he's fully committed to helping in any way he can, be it with wrestling or striking, because he truly believes in Khamzat's potential to become champion.
Hello everybody, I'm Arman Tsarukyan. We have a training camp with Khamzat Chimaev. He's getting ready for his title fight. He looks sharp, so excited for him and to see him UFC champion. So far his camp going well, he's healthy, he has a lot of energy, and I'm just here to help him whatever they need. If they need the wrestling, I'll wrestle. If they need the striking, I'll strike. So I'm here to help, and I want him to be a UFC champion.
UFC legend Kamaru Usman also weighed in, calling this matchup one of the must-watch events of the year. He emphasized that both Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus Du Plessis bring an elite level of grit and toughness, framing the fight as a collision between two warriors operating at their absolute peak. For Usman, this showdown promises explosive action from start to finish and has all the makings of an instant classic.
Khamzat Chimaev, an incredible fighter, very, very, very tough fighter. Has been hit with a few tests. Obviously, myself, obviously Burns. So, and he's passed. So, I'm excited to see how that fight goes with himself and Dricus Du Plessis. I think that's a phenomenal fight. Both guys tough, extremely tough. So, that's one of the fights I'm looking forward to the most this year.
Kamaru Usman also issued a strong warning about just how dangerous Khamzat Chimaev really is. He cautioned that overlooking Chimaev has cost fighters dearly in the past, pointing to his rare combination of raw power and high-level skill as a serious threat to anyone in the middleweight division. According to Usman, Chimaev is the kind of fighter who could completely shake up the landscape and capture the title before the rest of the division even sees it coming.
185. Listen, I told you guys, don't sleep on Khamzat. When he was fighting Robert Whittaker, everyone said, oh yeah, Whittaker's going to get him. Hey, don't sleep on him. Khamzat's extremely talented, extremely strong. He can shock him.
However, Kamaru Usman also expressed great respect for Dricus Du Plessis, acknowledging the difficult path he's traveled to reach the elite level. Usman emphasized that every champion earns their place through hard-fought battles and the risks they take along the way. In his view, this fight isn't just about hype, it's a tribute to two true warriors who are willing to leave everything inside the octagon to show they deserve to stand among the very best.
Dricus Du Plessis, you can't sleep on him as well. He's the champion for a reason, taking out 3 champions back to back to back. So, hey, respect to all those guys. I respect every one of these fighters. You know, I know people at home were spectators and were fans, and they like to just kind of talk, oh, he had a bad performance, he had a boring one. But hey, you have to respect each and every one of these guys that's willing to get in here, you know, in little bitty gloves and damn near underwear and bare their soul in here. So you have to respect.
Stephen Wonderboy Thompson also shared his take on the upcoming clash, calling it a challenging matchup for Khamzat Chimaev. He described Dricus Du Plessis as an unorthodox, powerful, and tricky opponent, especially dangerous in fights that go the distance. Thompson believes that if Du Plessis can weather Chimaev's early storm, he has a strong shot at turning the tide as the rounds progress. While he acknowledged that Chimaev is continuing to improve, Thompson pointed out that Khamzat has shown signs of slowing down in later rounds. Ultimately, he gives a slight edge to Du Plessis in what he expects to be a gritty, hard-fought contest.
Man, I think it's a tough one for Khamzat Chimaev. Du Plessis, his awkwardness makes him very difficult to deal with. He's got great grappling. He's a very strong opponent. If he can weather the storm in a five and a round fight, I'm leaning towards Du Plessis. You know, we saw what Gilbert Burns did, but obviously Khamzat Chimaev, he's made some changes. You know, he's evolving, he's getting better, he's strong. Oh man, I would love to see Du Plessis win it. I'm leaning towards Du Plessis because I think it's a very tough fight. Very tough fight. Khamzat's notorious for fatiguing later on in the rounds, and if it's a 5-round fight, Du Plessis.
Former UFC champion Robert Whittaker also weighed in, expressing confidence that Dricus Du Plessis has the tools to potentially hand Khamzat Chimaev his first career loss. Whittaker sees this bout as a true test of heart and endurance, one that could quickly turn into an unpredictable, high-stakes battle. He believes the fight will be shaped by shifting momentum and that the competitor who can continue pressing forward through adversity will likely emerge victorious. For Whittaker, this is the kind of matchup that truly reveals which fighter belongs at the very top of the middleweight division. Meanwhile, Movsar Evloev sees this matchup as a possible showcase of complete dominance, where one fighter's superior skill set could overwhelm and shut down the other. He's expecting a statement performance, the kind that could send shockwaves through the middleweight division and leave no doubt about who truly stands at the top of the heap.
Who do you think wins that fight between DDP and Khamzat?
I don't think that Du Plessis is wrestling even close to Khamzat. When we watch fight with Whittaker, he just take him down and he just like break him. So nobody did this against Whittaker before. And Khamzat still have big power of punching, right? He can just turn off your light by one punch.
Yeah, but DDP looked crazy strong and big in his last fight against Sean Strickland. Khamzat's not a really big 185er. He's got to be like 190 pounds fighting at 185. He's cutting to 5 pounds.
He even bigger than Du Plessis. Yeah.
No way.
Of course he is, bro. He's big. He's big and strong as hell. Yeah. I don't know how much is in pounds, but he more than 100.
Mike Perry also chimed in, praising Dricus Du Plessis as a big, strong, and fearless competitor who brings raw power into the octagon. While he acknowledged Khamzat Chimaev's skill set and strategic fight IQ, Perry feels that Du Plessis' sheer physicality and toughness would give him the upper hand if the two ever squared off.
I think DDP's big and strong and scary-ish. Like, he's a good guy, but like when he's in that ring, he's really powerful. Chimaev lets us think he's not as smart as he is. He has game plans. Chimaev's been a terror in the UFC. He's really taken a lot of it over. And we're all excited to see him compete. DDP's been really humble, but very, very courageous, very strong. I think DDP wins if they fight.
On the other hand, Jared Cannonier took a more neutral stance, saying he stepped away from making fight predictions because anything can happen once the cage door closes. He acknowledged that both fighters are highly skilled and will bring their full arsenal into the matchup. For Cannonier, it's less about choosing sides and more about appreciating the battle and enjoying the spectacle of two elite athletes going head-to-head.
I don't favor none of them. I don't favor anybody. You know, I've come to the conclusion that I just can't not pick fights. You know what I mean? It's just not. It's nothing. Something that I never liked doing, but especially after the Adesanya fight, because I was pretty confident that Adesanya was going to be able to do what he was doing in the first round and win the fight. But he was doing what I thought he was going to be able to do, and still lost the fight. So both of those guys have tools, and I'm sure they're going to both employ their tools to the best of their ability. The question is going to see who's going to be the one to prevail. I don't know, but I'm excited to see.
Mateusz Gamrot also shared his thoughts on the matchup, calling it a fascinating clash of styles. He praised Khamzat Chimaev's dominant wrestling and explosive power, noting that while he's a fan of Dricus Du Plessis, he's not convinced Dricus can effectively defend against Chimaev's relentless takedowns. In the end, Gamrot is siding with Chimaev to get the win.
Oh, this is interesting matchup. Chimaev is really high-level wrestler and he is strong. I like Dricus. He meet a couple times. It's hard to prediction, but I don't think so that Dricus will stop wrestling Chimaev. And I think maybe Chimaev will beat this.
Heavyweight contender Curtis Blades also gave his pick, siding with Khamzat Chimaev to defeat Dricus Du Plessis. He highlighted that Chimaev isn't just a wrestling powerhouse, he's also proven he can deliver knockout shots, referencing his performance against Gilbert Burns. Blades believes Chimaev's seamless ability to blend striking with grappling makes him an especially dangerous threat and gives him a clear advantage in this matchup.
I don't know if this is a hot take. I'm going to go with Khamzat. I think he's showed in that Burns fight. He ain't just a wrestler. He can stand in the fire and delivers some heavy hands. And I think if you blend that with the wrestling, just like Oliveira, he can do a little bit of open. I think that opens up either the wrestling or the striking. I think he's able to beat.
Former UFC champion Jamahal Hill revealed his backing Dricus Du Plessis in this fight. He admitted that Du Plessis has proven him wrong in the past, showcasing unexpected toughness and resilience. Hill praised Dricus for his excellent conditioning, pointing out that even when he appears fatigued, he continues pressing forward. He also highlighted Du Plessis' strength as a major asset. On the flip side, Hill noted that Khamzat Chimaev has shown signs of slowing down in longer fights, a potential weakness that could tip the scales in Dricus' favor.
I probably favor DDP in that one, just for the simple fact of I've doubted this dude so many times now, and he's shut me up bad every time. So, and I've come to understand like how his posture kind of works, which it may look like he's like fatiguing or he's like slowing down, but he's really not. You know, I think he's got the better cardio, and I believe he could be his physical strength, I believe, can pose a problem for anybody in that division. And Khamzat, we've seen Khamzat fade. We've seen Khamzat fade over the course of rounds.
Jamahal Hill added further insight into his pick, saying he's leaning toward Dricus Du Plessis largely due to DDP's unpredictable and unconventional striking style, which can be difficult for opponents to read. Hill pointed out that when Du Plessis lands clean, his punches carry real power and can do serious damage. That said, Hill was quick to caution against underestimating Khamzat Chimaev, whom he described as one of the sport's most naturally gifted grapplers, while also noting that Chimaev's striking is dangerous in its own right and shouldn't be overlooked.
I just believe Dricus has a really, really awkward way of throwing strikes that's not easy to time and get a read on. So I believe he will land, and when he lands, it obviously has devastating effect. So I probably lean more towards DDP, but you can't kind of count a guy like Khamzat out. I believe he's one of the best natural pure grapplers in the sport, and he does have the ability to throw some hands too. So
Michael Venom Page also shared his thoughts on the highly anticipated clash between Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus Du Plessis. He admitted that it's hard to see anyone stopping Chimaev right now, given how dominant he's looked in recent performances. However, MVP pointed out a key vulnerability: Chimaev's tendency to come out aggressively but fade as the fight wears on. He believes that if anyone can weather that early onslaught, it's Du Plessis, crediting his unusual level of muscle endurance. Comparing Dricus to the relentless pace of Merab Dvalishvili, Page warned that if Chimaev doesn't get an early finish, he might run into serious trouble in the later rounds.
I don't see anybody beating him.
I like Khamzat too. I think he's been really incredible.
Yeah, definitely. He looked better in the last fight. Obviously, it didn't last long, so we didn't get to see it. But normally, he's like Crash Bandicoot the first round, and then his energy dips.
DDP has been interesting, though.
I feel like Dricus is very underrated for a belt holder here.
But that's the thing. If anybody was to, it would be Dricus, because that is the muscular endurance. If you look at like some of the fights nowadays, Merab, Dricus, these guys that have the muscular endurance to be fighting at 7 the whole fight. But then you got someone like Merab that's 7-8 from start to finish. Mate, that's difficult to deal with. And Dricus seems exactly the same. He's like 7-8 the whole time. So if you don't kill him and get him out of there in that first round, second round, then you're going to have a problem for the rest of the.
And that wraps up today's video. We've heard insights from some of the biggest names in the fight game. And now it's your turn. Who do you think takes the win? Khamzat Chimaev or Dricus Du Plessis? Drop your predictions in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a fight breakdown like this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.